Hello and welcome. I'm Bill Wake. We're here working on a program I'm calling DKT, and the idea is we're going to take pictures of index cards and use image processing to extract them and then manipulate them locally, and hopefully some sort of way of blending real and virtual cards. We've My schedule's been very spotty for the last month or so, and we left off. I think we're at this place where we're trying to decide same or different. So I've got two pictures ostensibly of the same thing. Um, I don't know. I think I shifted the font a little bit maybe, and the image is a tiny bit different, and the background shading's different. And it's like, do we think this is the same or a different card? And I'd like to say it's probably the same card that's got the same words in the same picture and more or less the same color. And our trick is we got to make the image system agree with us. So let's see where we are. Sorry about that. Okay, let me walk through what we did. So we we had our test here that started with a card we looked at and then a list of new cards, and one of which is identical. We would certainly like to think that the best match for an identical card is going to be that card. And so our test tries to get that. What we do in here, we run through and we compute distances from the target to each card in the list. We take the minimum, which is the closest. If it failed for some reason, it shouldn't for this test case, but if it did, we'd return nil, saying we didn't find that card. Otherwise, we're going to create the position and then find the one that is reasonably close to that position. Okay, a little bit of fuzz because we're dealing with floating point and that, but we're walking through each score, finding the one that matches this, and then returning the card at that position. And then we just extract out compute distance. These three lines, I want to move them over to card. Okay, and so we've run the tests. They just passed. Now we want to move this over. So let me start by copying it. Okay, and I'm going to put it in the main deal here after init. Now I don't know why my location there. Oh, that's a accessor. Okay. Let's not make it private. Okay. Compute distance of a target card to another card, and it returns the float distance. This should be okay. So let's try and use it over here. Right now we're calling compute distance on that. Let's try target dot compute distance. Okay, so we've made this an instance method here. It's not actually looking at self at all. Notice it's still looking at the arguments, but we'll shift that once we've really started using this one. Okay, these tests should all pass again. Okay, and this thing should no longer be being used. Yeah, I couldn't do that quick enough. Good. Okay, so I'm just going to mark that with an X so it's not, it should fail if there's some issue there. But we believe we're using this one now. And so instead of target, I want target to be self. So I'm going to take this, well, let's change the references first. So let's just do self.features. Okay, so now I'm finding the distance from a given card to the target, which is self, and we don't reference target anymore. So I expect, well, it should warn me about that. It should warn me about the dead code I just created over here. Whether it will, let's Now notice target here, over here we're passing target, which is the thing we are trying to compare. So I'm going to take this code out because it's dead. We're doing target compute distance. I'm going to take target out of here. I'm going to remove this unused argument. Okay, nothing in here references target. And there's only one caller, indirect through our test. Okay, now we do this, the distance, we compute the card's features, which it's holding on to. Distance to, oh, no, yeah, the card is holding on to its features. I guess it's whether you're saying the card distance. I mean, it should be equivalent, right? I mean, distance from A to B and B to A. If it's a distance function, I assume they made that equivalent. So we'll make sure this all works. Okay, and run these tests one more time. I'm terrible about checking in all the time. I really should get that habit much more. I like a bunch of little small commits. Okay, so this one is we passed our test and we moved the method over. Okay. Make matching work for an identical card. Move compute distance to card. Okay. I hope I'm set up over here for this. Good. Okay. Well, I think that's an improvement. We map through the cards, get the best distance to target, and then we have a list of scores. We go through, we get the minimum. This is a little bit. It's a little bit funny. It's because I have to do that checking. I don't trust floating point equals because two floating point numbers don't necessarily have to be equal to each other. It seems unlikely that would be an issue here because scores.min is going to be the floating point number, but sometimes, I don't know, depending on the rules, like, I don't trust that last bit, or sometimes there's just a little fuzziness in things. It's hard to know. So I'm doing this little bit of a dance, and I think we can extract it as well. Let's call it position of min. Thank you. Okay, scores. I would like to say position of min for scores. And get a position back. That seems self-contained. What's the problem here? Well, okay, it's apparently not. Position of, and then we got a value that's the minimum. Value is a float. Whole thing returns an int. Okay. And I'm just going to copy code in, doing it manually. Okay. Scores. that to values. This is value. Okay, so I'm trying to get this values a float. Okay, so if I did this correctly, I should be able to say let position equal position of minimum and scores. Should replace that and then return card's position. Okay, I'm happier with that. I'll just go ahead and run that while I think. Okay, so if basically we try and compute the target distances, we find the minimum, we find the position of the minimum, and we return the card at that position. All right, it feels like everybody's doing the right thing at the right level with that. Now this stuff, what's going on here? Okay, commit. Position of. Okay, now does anybody call this even? Who uses this? Spike image comparator defines it. The test, I don't think anybody's really using it. What's this one? Oh, that's information. Okay. Spike View used to use it. All right, yeah, so this is now dead code. This is what the Spike used to do the same thing. And here we generated all the features and all that stuff. We've dealt with that now. So I'm going to kill this. That's kind of an odd message. Now, I think what I've done, it's a bigger bite than it should have been probably. I'm just reflecting on things a little bit here, but remove did code similarity. Okay, because notice our calculation of these minimums and scores and distances, that's really a comprehensive solution. I mean, that I think is the solution we're after. So I'm going to do a test. I think of it as a confirming test. You know, I think I've already got a solution, but I'm making sure it's generalized. Okay, start with a list of current images. Have a list of new images. Well, we decided it wouldn't be a list. Compare all. Okay. Yeah. All right. So now let me do a test. Let's see. Is it Control I? Let's do a test. Image matches a similar image. Okay, and I think if we go look at our cards, Yacht 3, we got Yacht 1 and Yacht 2. Okay, Yacht 1 and Yacht 3 are very similar. What I did was a little bit of image manipulation. I think mostly let's compare them again. Why are you up here anyway? Notice this one's a little lighter, so I did something to darken it and maybe like reduce the number of colors or something like that. Let's see them in the Finder. Different sizes. So I mean they're slightly different. They're not very different, but they're a little different. Okay, and you can see here's where I'm saying I'm using files. I've hard coded these images, and I'm comparing them. All right, so if I take that test we did, and now I'm going to take out the identical match. Let's take out yacht 1, and let's make sure that card 2, well, let's call it card 3 and card 2. Card Q. Card 2, card 3. Okay, so card should match yacht 3 pretty well. Okay, that it's a little darker, but it's the same image. I may have done some other manipulation, but it's far more similar than these two. This one, it's the same cards rearranged vertically instead of horizontally. Okay, so there's similarity, but it's less likely to find that. And really, this is sort of an artifact for the testing. In reality, I want to compare cards, and these cards should all come up really similar, but we'll get there. All right, let's take this test. Oops. Card versus card 2, card 3. Well, the best match should be card 3, because the identical card is not there, but a very similar one is. Okay, and I think this test will pass. Hey, welcome. Okay, so we got a passing test. Let me give you, let's just run this thing. Since you're new, I'll just kind of do a quick run through what's going on. I'm writing this app. This spike page we can ignore, but the core of it is you somehow load up an image. In this case, I've taken a bunch of index cards, written some user stories on them, and I took a picture of that. When I say add cards, it should identify the rectangles that are inside there and make cards out of them. Okay. Notice it misses a couple. I haven't tried tuning the algorithm there, but I do have yacht, user starts something, user starts open category. These cards get extracted out. And, like I said, it's not every one of them, but it's a pretty good guess. Okay. And so, the first stage of this, you take that initial image and extract the cards. We've done that. The next stage we're doing is I'd like to take a second image. So in principle, I'd like to be able to rearrange the cards, maybe write a new card or two, take another picture, and have it realize like, hey, most of these are the same card. Okay, your starts turn didn't change, your open category didn't change, but maybe some other ones did. Okay, and so to do that, we did this spike with, in this case, we took very similar images. They're not identical, but this one on the right, I think I bumped the contrast up significantly, so it made the color red darker around the edges. It's all reflecting my flash probably, but it makes the edge darker, and the cards themselves are a little more defined because of the contrast. And the idea is we turn this off, but you would hit the compare button, and hopefully it would come back with some sort of matching list of things. In this case, it's matching the whole image, and it should say the score, and it really should be it shouldn't be 0, but it should be a low distance. Okay. And we've been, what do I want to do with them? It really is just sort of this thing of if I'm working with real cards and also want to work virtually. So I'm thinking of things like either user stories, or I do a fair bit of writing. I'm planning to work on a new book or a new project. I'd like to be able to make cards and add some cards and rearrange them and think about the new arrangements and things like that. Just kind of play around with this thing of mixing real and virtual cards. And I don't know. I'm mostly interested in the image stuff now because I've never done any manipulation with these image analysis things. So trying to figure out what they can do and how far that can go, and then may have to see, like, I know I want to make a 2D image of cards, that I know where the rows and columns are, and then maybe have some operations that can manipulate those. But yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm envisioning for this thing. I don't think it'll be a real product. I think it's just me learning how to work with these things and play with this stuff, and we'll see. All right. So what we just did, we originally had a test where we had a list of cards, and imagine the second import came up with these three cards that it brought in, and one of them is completely identical. We'd like it to know that that's the best match. And same thing here. We took out the identical card, but we had a very similar card, that dark one, high contrast version, simulating a slightly different camera setting or something. And we'd like it to say, oh yeah, yacht 1, yacht 3, they're basically the same. You can use, you only have one new card in this thing. Okay. Now, let's see. So I think where we are, let's get back up here. Should feature identification be owned by a card or helper class? Okay, we've answered that question. Let's see. Today is the 11. Yeah, here we are 2 weeks in since my last session. Okay. Should feature identification, well, let's flip it around. Feature identification is owned by the card. Okay, this way you only calculate the features once. And when you say features, my understanding is that it goes through and says, like, hey, there's sort of a curved little shape here, and here's another one that's curved with a tail, and here's two crossing shapes, and a very image oriented interpretation. I don't think it's trying to interpret letters. Not a good plan from my handwriting anyway, but it's trying to look for very similar shapes, and I hope in kind of similar positions or something like that. But that's part of what I don't know, is how the similarity matching works. But anyway, it goes through and identifies these shapes, and it comes up with this thing that it calls a list of features. And I think basically they're floating point numbers, but I think it's some sort of encoding that tells the shapes in some way, and maybe some representation of position or general position or something like that. But as we go through, we'll explore and find out. Okay, so the step we've done, I think we've done the back end work of making one card, matching one card against something. So at some point I need to be able to switch images, and I'm probably just going to do a very cheesy thing to just hit a button for now, hit a button and a different image comes up. And I want, when they bring in the second image, it extracts the cards like before, but then it does a sort of end by end similarity and says, for each card in my existing list, does it have a close match in the new list? And if it does, I don't know what to do with it, but I want to mark it somehow or notice it somehow. If it doesn't, then it's a new card being imported, and I'd like to notice that somehow too. Okay. What we have then, image comparator is able to take one card and a list of cards and do that analysis for that one card. Do you have a good match in here? And I don't know. We may need to give it a threshold. I don't have a sense of what those thresholds and stuff are, but that's what we're kind of mixing, experimenting, and doing. Unfortunately, I'm willing to do spikes, and I set up a little bit of an area for that. Let's see. So I think what we don't have Well, okay, back to this. Do we have a way to bring in a new picture? Okay. Let's say select a new image. Okay. And select a new image, import its cards, and match against existing cards. Yeah, I mean, I think it seems like an interesting thing to try out. And, I obviously iOS is doing all the hard work here. um, I arrange for a list of images and then it analyzes them and comes up with lists of contours and similarity metrics and stuff. Okay. But we'll see what happens. All right. Select a new image, import its cards, match against existing cards. So I think for that, let's see, go this way. I'll just add a button down here that just says next image. And in real life, I'd like you to be able to take images with your camera or maybe import them from your existing photo library kind of thing. But for simulator purposes, I'm better off keeping it simple. All right, so let's find our UI here somewhere. Okay, here's content view. Okay, so content view is the main view. I don't know if this thing will. I'm not so good at making this work. So are you an iOS person, Dragon Dust, or what's your interests? Okay, so here we have the tabs, spike, image, label, image view. That's what I want. Okay, I got a button, add cards. Not ideal maybe, but we'll add another button. Okay, so if you click next image, I want the main image to change. I don't know what that means. Image UI image of source image. Oh, cool. Okay. So, and I'm just playing with Swift UI. I kind of worked my way through all the old style stuff and just I'm not doing real apps, so I can amuse myself and work on Swift UI and hope that it works well enough for what I want to do. Let's see. So my old thing, I had a UI image that's up here. Hard coded him to yacht 1. So we're gonna work on improving this stuff a bit. I don't know how much to make the model go generic. Well, I think somehow you need the current image. I mean, that much seems true. So source image can start there, but I guess we can update that. Now where these names come from, that's different. Okay. Well, anyway, somewhere, I mean, I've got image. I want to say UI image equals something. And I'm just going to be hard coding stuff. Let's just pull in image, the Yacht 3 one. Okay, so Yacht 1 was the light colored one. Yacht 3 was the high contrast version. Am I allowed to do this? Can I find UI image in scope? Ooh, why not? Oh, source image. Is that what I called it here? Oh yeah, source image. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to change it to Yacht 3. And if I did that, it should update. Well, let me make it Yacht 2 because that's very visible, very visibly different. Okay. Yacht 2, if we update that, that should change the UI image, and since it's state, all the notification stuff should figure out like, hey, redraw things. So let's see if this works. Okay, so we're in the image tab. All right, I got the next image button. I'm expecting it to go to that Yacht 2, which was more vertical instead of horizontal rows. Yes. Okay, nice. Now, oh yeah, so if I click, if I have my cards, oh, I reset them. Oh, I see. Okay, let me try again. Run this again. I need to import my cards and then do the change. Okay, so I got image. I'll add cards. I keep saying import. Maybe I should be using that word here too. All right, and I go next, and I look at my cards. It should have all of them. Okay, now I do next image. Oh, why is it? Ooh, interesting. I have no idea why those rectangles are what they are. All right, well, I've got next image. If I say add cards, it should take whatever those rectangles are and chop out pieces of them. I mean, they look totally, totally wrong, which is a little scary. Okay. I have Okay, yeah. See what happened? Here's yacht, and this it identified this as one image, probably because the cards were just so close together. Um, and there's another big image. Huh. But that doesn't look like the union of the two. Oh, I didn't erase my old ones. Oh, this is disappointing. Okay. Hmm. So find image on this one only came up with 3 rectangles that it liked. I'm very disappointed. Okay, now it should have 3 big rectangles in my cards list now. Here's 1. Here's 2. And here's 3. Okay, but well, it really would have been nice if it had split this and recognized the 2 rectangles for sure. And then you can see I'd like to match this card to this top half of this card. This one's a little yellower looking, but I would like to say that's the same image. And I may need to do some more manipulation. So, like I have Rocketbook. It's I don't think I have a picture, but let's see. I can probably find it online, right? And I haven't used it a ton, but I have used it. It's this notebook. You mark it up with these erasable markers, and there's some software that will take pictures and uh, pull in pull in pages that you put in your notebook. Okay. Um, Apparently, how it works is not gonna. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So you draw stuff. It's reusable. You can erase it with water or a dry erase marker thing. But you can scan them, and it's going to pull pages in. And there's some like little buttons at the bottom you can mark up to identify things and so on. But it recognizes either, I don't know, the dots or the page number or whatever it does. Um, it would be when it pulls it in, it sort of cleans up the image. It makes the contrast better. I don't know if it turns it into only a few colors or what it does, but there are definitely apps out there. I used to use another one. Oh, I can't remember what that was called. Wow, been a long time since I used it, but it was an image cleanup app basically, and I may have to do some of that to start with. You know, if I were to turn these into black and white and high contrast, you know, they would look more similar. All right. Okay, so there's something going on that's I kept my old rectangle markers, and when I refreshed it, it only brought back the new ones. So I probably should have reset something there, but I'm more concerned that it's not really finding my cards very well. So let's see. I think okay. I guess let's talk about our to do. Select an image, import its cards, and match against existing cards. Okay, so we did the first part of that. Select a new image, import its cards. Let's make this a new step. Okay, so we kind of did that. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to reset that. I probably should just do that. That seems like something I could do without screwing up too bad. There must be a list of rectangles here, right? Okay, so let's reset the rectangles when you change the image. And it's the add cards that does the real work. So, and I keep saying import, so I'm going to try and change this to import, and let's hope. Okay, because when I said next image, it kept the rectangles we already had, and it added some new ones. Okay, so import cards will mark up most of the cards and import them. All right, now next image should erase those and a new image there. Okay, import card should only have the ones it finds this time. Okay, I feel better. Let's commit this. So we import a second set of cards, but we're not happy with image finding. It's a fair way to say that, I think. Okay, and I think I want this to, let's say, bring in a second image and import its cards. Okay, we'll claim a tiny bit of progress for that. All right. The next thing I want to do then, I'm going to divert myself. So maybe we're kind of back in spike territory, but we want to tune parameters on card finding. I think my keyboard's a little sticky again. Okay. So doing that, and I think to some extent that's the research project side of this. We know, well, let's see what we got. We'll have to find that code, I guess. Model code card rectangle finder makes sense. Image request handler. Okay, yeah, this thing. Let's do some work on this. So this is the request you're making to iOS. You give it an image and you say, I want you to find the rectangles on that page. And it does its thing and does it. We are very primitive in that. Okay, you have these things you can specify. Minimum aspect ratio to detect. Okay, I know I'm doing 3x5 cards. So I don't know what an aspect ratio is, but this tells me I should probably be setting a minimum aspect ratio. If they were 3x5s, if they were 4x5, they'd be more square. The minimum is probably 2x5. So let's go see what an aspect ratio is. Oh, it's a float. Okay. So 3x5 is 0.6. Let's be a little more generous and say 2.5x5 would be 0.5. So let's say our minimum ratio is 0.5. Okay, I don't know if I specified something in here. Oh, okay. We did max observations. Let's do this. Request.minimum aspect ratio is 0.5. And we had maximum aspect ratio. Well, 3x5, 4x5 is 0.8. So let's do that for that one. So I'm sort of enforcing that they're horizontal rectangles, basically, I guess. Well, no, I'm not, because it says the shortest dimension. It doesn't tell you whether it's horizontal or vertical. Okay, and this is maximum. Okay, and then we just want to see what else can we play with. Quadrature tolerance. I don't know what. Well, I would like to say that these mostly horizontal, but they're not completely horizontal. I mean, 105, let's see, 90 degrees. Okay. So you can't see my hands, but I'm making my arms do the work here. A 90-degree angle, that's fine. 45 is way off, but maybe 60, 65. How much can you deviate from 90? Let's say like 15 degrees. Let's make sure we're expressing that. I mean, it looks like it's actual degrees. Tolerance angles. And they use the word degrees. I assume it's degrees. Okay, so quadrature tolerance, let's say 15. All right. And minimum confidence. Well, let's hold off on that one. I wonder what the default is. I mean, it's probably should be like 90% or something, but I don't know how good it is. All right, let's see what these numbers do to our image recognition. Okay, we're on the image tab. I should probably put spike last. All right, if I import cards, before we were getting, I don't know, we got 8, 13 cards. I don't know, we're getting maybe 9. Well, 8, 4, 6, 9. It looks like we're getting the same cards. Okay, let's see what it came up with for them. They look about the same to me. All right, well, let's try the second set. Oops. How about next image? Now, I think I have 2 yachts. Yeah. Okay, this one Import cards. We got 3 big images. I don't think it should accept those. Ah, 1. Okay, so far I've managed to reduce my effectiveness by 2/3. It's funny, aspect ratio. As a proportion of the smallest dimension. I don't know what that means. The default minimum size is 0.2. Oh, is that 20% of the image in view? I think we can say that's smaller. 1, 2, 3, 6. So that's 18, 17. I mean, would I expect to find 10? Smaller rectangle. The minimum size is a proportion of the smallest dimension. I'm going to say 10%. Minimum size. Okay. Request minimum size equals 10%. Okay. And again, let's see how this matching thing does with these. I mean, it seemed to find the first set okay. Oh, we got more. 4, 8, 12 out of 13. Okay, let's try this one. Import cards. Many more in odd positions. I'm wondering if my display is maybe not mapping them correctly. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see the images. Yacht. I guess I can't tell. I should have 3 yachts, I think. There's yacht. Okay, let's try a different variation. This time I'm not going to import the first set. I'm just going to move on to the second set. Next image, import cards. Now I don't even understand how these rectangles are outside the range. There's just something odd about them. But we should see a yacht, a category of something, a full house. Well, that's plausible. Well, that's full house. He's a little bit tilted. Yeah. Okay, so I'm suspicious that my rectangle drawing code is not correct, but it looks like the card image is being pulled. They look all right to me. So I'm thinking our tuning is doing good work, but there's still a flaw somewhere. Okay, we've been going an hour though, so let's take a break, just like 3 minutes, grab a drink or whatever, and we'll come back and I think we'll claim what we've done as progress. This tuning is definitely improved, and we'll figure out why the drawing is not quite right. Horizontally, they seem okay, even though the coordinate systems of the picture and the rectangles are different vertically. You know, one's the opposite. You know, we flip them vertically, but this one looks like it's, if it were flipped vertically, it would be up. The red rectangle would be up here, and it looks right. Horizontally, I mean, it looks a little shifted, like one line width to the right, maybe. That may be a drawing illusion too, but I think the real thing is there's something wrong with the height, and let's see if we can figure out where that height comes from. Okay, I'm just gonna correct my spacing a little bit there. Okay, this is the rectangle finder. Let's start up at the content view. Now I don't know. I never get this thing to work fast enough. No, he's not going to go. Okay. I have the source image, I have the rectangles, and then tableau we're not talking about. Okay, is spike true? Let's turn that off for now just to simplify things. Also, I think I want this moved down. Okay, so image view is what we're looking at. Let's see what's going on there. This is worthless, so let me close this. Okay. All right, so we are stacking. Here's the Z stack. We got the image. We overlay the rectangles with the card outline. Card outline rectangle geometry dot size. So geometry, basically, it's sort of, normally you do these things kind of bottom up. I mean, it's all tree based kind of thing, but this overlay, if you pass in this geometry reader, it can go up to the top level and ask, hey, how big is the image and all that stuff. So it should be getting that from the image, I think. I mean, geometry should match the size of the image. Card outline, let's take a look at that. So the size is the geometry. Offset, size.width times rectangle min x. Okay, so size is the geometry size. Rectangle is the rectangle that we're drawing. Okay, let's look again. Okay, image view. Image view. The rectangle. Okay, so the frame, the width is the size.width. Okay, so size.width is the actual size times the rectangle width. The rectangles. I think when you pass the image to the image processing vision stuff and say identify me a rectangle, it takes whatever your coordinates are and then it returns you coordinates that are 0 to 1. So like what percent of the total rectangle is this thing? And so I think those seem okay. I mean, the width and the height look like they're about the right size for the file cards. the offset, size.width times rectangle min x. So min x should be the top coordinate. I wonder if that's max. Let's go deal with the rectangle finder. So import says give the rectangle the image, and then the code here is a closure that says what to do once the rectangle finder comes back with the identified images, identified rectangles. We take those, we map them, we map each one to a card based on the bounds of the rectangle. Okay, so that's the one, that's the place that's pulling the image. Yeah, so that's the place that's chopping out the image that we're seeing. So when we look at the cards, this is being done off that rectangle. Okay, now, and we store identified rectangles in rectangles, which is the thing we're displaying from. Okay, I'm going to go back a stage. Okay, thanks for joining today. Hope I can catch you another time in the future. I'm going to go back. If we took the original import, let's see how that one looks. And I may have tuned things to the wrong one, but I'll rerun. Okay, we should no longer see the spike. Okay, I've got the import. Now we're going to get the rectangles. They're right on. I mean, I think. Like that one in the second row, that's offset. That seems very, very right on. This one seems a little off. Now, I do have something going on that I'm drawing this thing with a stroke of 2, a width of 2. And yet I think, I mean, that may explain, like, there's a little bit of offset. Like, I'm not quite sure what the rules are for where the offset, the line width gets drawn, but I think the top and left lines are kind of in my rectangle, and the bottom right ones maybe outside of it somewhat. And maybe we can see on this. Okay, this card is category choice, sum of the dice. All right, let's see what we got there. Category choice, sum of the dice. Okay, notice the line on the right. There's a tiny hint of red here, so it chopped it off right at the right edge of the bottom of the rectangle. And in here, you clearly can see red all the way up. So I think if you drew this line inset at 2 on the right, you'd see, okay, that's exactly right. So I think there's a little bit of goofiness there. Let's try this one. I can't quite read it. I think it's a little straight. 30 points. Well, it should be on the bottom row. Little straight. That's chopped off. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a little bit horizontally, and I think that's somewhat of an artifact of me drawing, but maybe not. I mean, this looks Player reveals something dice. Selected dice. Okay, let's see this card. Player scores. Player rerolls selected dice. That's definitely not chopping off where it shows it. Right? I mean, this is clearly chopping off the top of the left of the P and the whole S, and yet in our cards, it took it completely. So there's something going on between my display code and my other code. I'm not sure it's the biggest problem in life. Let's just make this a 1 and just see what happens. Okay, import cards. Should be slightly thinner rectangles. Yeah, they still... No, I don't know. I just don't know. It's like we're off. You know, if it were cumulative, you'd be off a little bit here, a little more here, a little more here, but this one looks right on, so it doesn't seem quite right. Okay, and then what are we drawing? Okay. These rectangles. Sorry, the size is the geometry. The rectangle is the rectangle we get passed back. And this came from Rectangle Finder. Where that got off to? Okay, let's see what Rectangle Finder is doing. He's got the bounds. All right, he does the rectangle request. He gets the results back. He's got a bunch of observations. There's the vertical flip I mentioned. Okay. Now, all right, next image. Import cards. It's almost like the image height is not resetting or something like that. Let's see that. Let's see where that geometry, yeah. I may let this go for now. I mean, I don't know if what it strikes me as, and I may be messing it up with this, but I think it's something about maybe the geometry. Like, when is this geometry being determined? It should be based on the image that's actually being drawn. But I wonder if it's not updating for some reason. We run through the rectangles, that changes, so we know we're getting there. And this offset size, let me try an experiment here. Make this max Y. Okay, we'll do next image, import cards. Way off. So that's before it was down to this one. Now it's a whole card lower. I'm gonna. I just want to see what rectangle knows. Mid Y, mid. The origin. Okay, so my rectangle has a width and a height that are the size of those things. And they seem to be pretty close to the right widths and heights. They're equal to each other, which makes sense because these are all the same size cards. And when was this origin? We got the size of the display area. Can I break here and look at things? Okay, we're doing next image, import cards, and I want to break while it redraws. Okay, let's see the size. 390 by 292. Okay, I mean that seems... Can we determine that? Let me show the image in the Finder. Yacht 2. All right, and info. That's like 1 1/3. Is that the same as what this thing is? 300, 400, about 1 1/3. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let's look at size as we can see. What about rectangle? $219 x 104 y. And size, the width is 390. And we're saying 220. So size corresponds to the geometry. So we got a 400 pixel width, 300 height. X is 220 out of 400, basically. And this is halfway across and 1/3 down. I don't know. I'm not getting a lot of insight here. Let's take this off and continue. Halfway across, to me, is in the middle. 1/3 down. I mean, that could be this. I don't know. I'd have to log these sizes, or the size is probably consistent, but the rectangle min X, that's changing. I feel like I'm probably trying to work with too complicated of an image to do it in my head or anything like that. Let's subtract something. Let's subtract. Now, why this should work on the one and not the other, I don't have an explanation, so I'm just experimenting. Okay, next image, import cards. I believe I'm sliding up half a card with that. And I kind of am. Some look really good, some look offset. Why that should... Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to set this aside. And that means I have to put something in the to-do. Okay, we did the parameters. I'm happy with that. Okay, match against existing cards. We haven't done. The thing that we have outstanding here is on the yacht to image, the red rectangles are offset too much vertically. Okay. I'm gonna stop that one. To finish this project, we would have to figure that out if we're going to use that in the user interface, of course. But I think this matching against existing cards is really what I want to focus on. Okay. Let's go there then. So what's going to happen? I guess that's kind of an interface issue. All right. So one thing I want, I don't know if I have a story for this somewhere or not, but I guess we can go look here. No, not here. It is here. Okay. Take a photo. We don't really take a photo, but we take a photo. Extract cards, yes. Edit cards, we don't do that. Put cards in a list, we do that. Consolidate identical cards. Mark new cards with light green. Mark unused cards with light red. And reorder cards. I I guess according to last photo. Tweak recognition, we've done that one. Tweak similarity matching, we haven't done. All right. What I would like to do is, if you import, like somehow I want to keep track of import times, because that's when the card is created. Oh boy, adding a clock in here to simplify things. Maybe it's not even a time. Maybe it's a batch number. And if you import cards in batch 1 and then you import some new cards, I want to keep the ones that already exist. The new ones should be batch 2. And then I can tell you which ones were existing and which ones were not, and I can probably do something with the colors at that point. Okay. So what's that saying? Is that going to help my similarity matching? I don't know that it does. Maybe I should just get the similarity matching first. Consolidate identical cards. If you find a card that looks similar enough, then you should keep it. You should keep the original. All right, let's see where they are. And I think we're getting into Tableau. I'm trying to use the word you would use with like solitaire. Top row sorting, row sorting. Okay, add a card. That's easy. Add a bunch of cards. Nice. Okay, and then row sort them. Okay. So let's see. Tableau. Who uses this? Content view. Well, who's doing the ad? Somebody must be. Tableau tests. Oh, nobody's adding cards except our tests. All right. Let me pause here. We got stuff changed. Let's see what's changed. Where's that little widget? That's not it. There's a way to show the diffs. Well, I think if I commit, I can see the diffs. Okay. Formatting. Okay, we tuned the request parameters, the rectangle identification term parameters. And we turned the spike off and moved it to the end. Okay, so tuned rectangle identification, move spike to far right. Alrighty, so the tablet, let's see where the ad is then. Okay, so you do add cards. Oh, there's Tableau ad. Okay. I guess the single card one, nobody's using that except a test, which seems silly. Well, this thing uses it, but who calls this? Okay, I'll let that go. Back to content view. When it finds a bunch of rectangles, then it adds them to the tableau. Okay, so the question is, who's going to know this is a similar card? And I guess, well, I think what I want to say is if you add a card that already exists, he's in there. Okay, that's, then I guess if you add a card that already exists, it's more like a set that it doesn't take duplicates, I think. Consolidate identical. Mark new cards with green. Mark unused cards with red. New cards. Well, that's this batch thing again. Cards that are already in there, they don't get marked. Okay. I guess that's all right. So I think what I'm saying is this, the tableau, adding a card is a function, as a similarity function to what's there. That may be a mistake. Really, I want to say if the tableau already contains this card, don't append it. Or if the card is new, append it. But otherwise, don't do anything with it. And the only way I know similarity is by comparing the existing tableau cards to the new card to the existing tableau. It's I don't know. Let's see what a card knows. Card knows his location. Boy, these are tricky days here. Okay. I guess we'll try and get far enough to make a decision about how to do this. But right now, when you import a card, you're saying it has this position, this placement relative to the image it imported from. And the placement is not going to change. I don't know. This uses CPU only, I think is probably a simulator thing. We generate a feature request. Okay, so we're going to analyze the thing for its features kind of in the background. Handler perform request. And okay. Well, this distance, I think this is really similarity, or it's similarity distance or something. Feature distance, maybe. Let's rename that. And it doesn't need to be compute. That's a how, that's not a what. We're saying, what is the feature distance to this card? Okay. Now, I think that's an improvement. I don't think it tells me what to do. All right. I think the real thing is Tableau. And already I know, Tableau tells me it's not. What is it saying? Well, the Tableau in Solitaire is like, how do you lay out the cards into some arrangement, like, maybe 7 stacks with a little pile on the end or something like that. It's not. I'm trying to imagine it with the 2 pictures, like when you have these 2 pictures, the horizontal and the vertical. To me, that's 2 different tableaus or 2 different arrangements. And maybe arrangement is even a better name, but Tableau is sort of like the starting position or something like that. I don't know if they use it more generally for any position. I'm confused, of course, as always. What's the right way? So this to me sounds like the arrangement of the cards on that screen, but it doesn't sound like this is my set of cards. And I think that may be the concept I'm missing here. I'm probably merging them. Yeah, I am merging them because when I make my list, I think my list is built off the Tableau. Let's double check that. Okay, so there's the image view. Let's see the list view, card list. Okay, yeah, for each Tableau card, give me the card's image. Okay. In effect, I'm making the tableau of a union of the tableaus. Okay. That's like, what's the test? Well, somehow they have to have a union of tableaus because I'm going to display them in the same thing, but maybe the tableau is different. Card list. I'm walking through the tableaus. The fact is, each one has a position, but in this case, I just make a vertically scrolled list. So the position, the sort of output position of the tableau is determined by the order in the tableau. But maybe, I don't know. Ooh, boy. What's hard is I feel like there's something critical going on here. Like there's the input. How are the cards arranged? I've got 2 pictures of cards arranged, and I kind of want to. I need to merge them into one output arrangement. Now, the way it is now, the output arrangement is linear, up and down vertically. I could easily imagine doing this in 2D and then 2D ones. Well, some cards are going to be in the same position. Like, what's that mean? And so it's like, what's important? Well, in some ways, the tableau is important. But it's really this. I mean, here I kind of want to get the set of all cards. I'm assuming there's one tableau that holds them all, and that can't quite be true. Hmm. Okay, so when I add something, I guess when I add a card, if it's already in there, I want to keep the tableau position I have. Okay, so let's go back. All right, I'm gonna rerun. This is the product design part, I guess, right? It's I'm not so worried about the software at this point, but like more like what it means. So if I go through and I say import cards, all right, and I've got these 13 cards, and then I'm going to go to the next image. All right, I say import cards, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19 cards. Okay, instead of 13. Okay, so I've got some more cards in here that I didn't have in the other one, apparently. And the other one was 1, 2, 3 across, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. How would I display those, right? I mean, I've got some overlap, like some cards from that first picture. I could imagine displaying the first picture up top and then the second picture in a scrolling sort of sense. But like, what happens when the same card is in two pictures? It feels like it should not. I think what it should do, I don't know. It's going to feel a little weird no matter what. I think in a way what I have is the cards that I previously had imported and I'm not using. In effect, they were deleted, and then I have cards that I re-import and I have new cards. So I have cards that were omitted, cards that are the same, and cards that are new. So what do I want to do with the deleted cards, right? I mean, I think this new shape is sort of determining it. So if I put a card in that's similar, I want to say its position is determined by the latest photo. That seems clear. That's the desire. Now I'm going to have cards that were left over that weren't used. I guess I don't know if I need them in the same arrangement, but they're sort of in a different section. It's like the the rest of the cards or something. And maybe I want to keep those old images and the card is still present. I don't know. I don't want to see it in this photo or this arrangement. And if I went and rearranged these things or something like that, I really don't want to. Wow. Boy. I think if you add a card, the new position overrides, but the original import stays the same. And I don't know. I'm kind of. Do I have classes or structs for cards? I've still got a class. I theoretically can modify it. Okay. I think I know enough to say what I want to do next time. So match against existing cards. So on the import new set, if card is present, keep it. If card is omitted, I want to move it somewhere. List, I guess. I'll say this may not mean anything. If the card is present, if the card is new, add it. And then the keep it, but with new placement. With new placement. With placement. Okay. I think that'll give me something to work from next time. So, okay. My schedule is, like I said, really crazy. So it's hard for me to know week to week what's going to happen. But my prediction is, my intent is next Friday and next Sunday. Let's see. So that'll be the 18th and the 20th. My plan is that I'm going to be broadcasting those days. The 25th, I know I will be out, and I believe I'll be out the 27th as well. So I'm going to I will be here next week, miss the following week, and I'm just not sure 2 weeks out. I can't even keep 1 week out straight. So that's my plan anyway. I will see you next Friday, the 18th, and we'll pick up here, try and deal with our similarity matching, and see if we can make something like this work. You know, that if we don't find it, we move it out. And maybe I build a new, you know, and maybe it's like build a new tableau with the cards from the current thing, and then do some merging on those lists. Okay, I think that's going to be my strategy. Merge. Okay. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope I can catch you in the future. All right, take care. Bye-bye.